and you always knew the bad news was coming with Todd, because he'd go, here's the thing. And he said, we're going to lose the orchestra in Dresden, and we have to do all of the conducting first. I do think there's a distinct lack of shame in society at the moment. I think shame is very different to guilt. Guilt is very useless.
Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds' habit of bullying their colleagues in Hollywood didn't start and won't end with the Justin Baldoni case. And Cate Blanchett just spilled all the tea about this in a new scalding interview for a person like the Cate Blanchett to have a story about Blake and Ryan. Then you just know it's much worse than we could have ever imagined. Blake didn't just try to hijack Cate's legacy. Allegedly, she straight up stole it and spat in Cate's face when she was confronted about it. But in typical Cate Blanchett fashion, she didn't raise her voice or throw a tantrum. She just quietly plotted her subtle but devastating revenge. And it looks like Cate might be the one to finally put an end to Blake and Ryan's bad behavior. So let's get into it.
You know, it's sometimes good to be really simple. I mean, Matisse says this fantastic thing. It's just, you know, don't try and be original. Just be simple.
Anybody who knows Cate Blanchett knows that she and Chanel go like peanut butter and jam for over a decade. Cate has been the face of the brand, and the partnership has worked so well for everyone involved because Cate isn't just your average celebrity actress. She's a combination of class prestige and good old-fashioned heritage, and the Chanel brand embodies all these attributes. Over the years, Cate has walked in private fittings and attended couture shows. In 2021, she signed a multi-season contract to be the face of Chanel's Women in Cinema campaign. As part of the campaign, Chanel commissioned a legacy short film written by Cate's husband, Andrew Upton. It was a subtle black and white film featuring just two women acting without words. Pure cinema, in the form of facial expressions and body language. The contracts had been signed. The film had been cleared and everything was good to go. But when the big day came, guess who showed up? None other than Blake Lively.
All right, Blake Lively is out and about in the UK promoting her One Simple Favor, right? Is that the name? Yep, she's out. She's wearing this Chanel head to toe V. Here's the look in the runway.
This left many fans confused. What is Blake doing here? What happened to Cate? Did the deal fall through? It would turn out that Cate and Chanel didn't have any sort of disagreement or anything like that. No, Blake showing up like that was a result of pure calculated sabotage. Apparently someone from Chanel had reached out to Cate's team, saying the campaign direction had changed, which in industry speak means you're no longer needed. Cate was completely blindsided by this news because it's not like there had been any prior arguments or issues, but everything started making sense when Blake popped out as the new face of the campaign. To make matters worse, they didn't even scrap the original concept for Cate's campaign. They just slapped on a few glitters, added some motivational quotes and red lipstick, and that was it.
Look at these, they match my outfit. Look at those nails. Wow. Aren't they incredible? Those are amazing. I had time for that. I literally did it while at work. It was a little chaotic. It was worth it.
Even the backstage crew working on the campaign were shocked that Cate had been replaced. One stylist allegedly leaked texts saying it was never supposed to be Blake. Her team offered a cross-platform deal. Chanel couldn't ignore, but to pull Cate like that, it was bold, maybe too bold, but that was only the beginning. Blake and her team went on to create a whole campaign to make Cate look outdated, while Blake looked like she was swooping in to save Chanel from obscurity. In March 2023, Chanel hosted a private dinner in Paris for a carefully curated guest list of legacy actresses, directors, creative leads, and brand partners. Cate had RSVP'd the event months ahead and was supposed to preview her husband's short film during this dinner. However, 2 weeks before the event, Blake Lively was announced as the evening's brand. Honore Cate's little film was quietly replaced by Blake's theme cross-platform storytelling through beauty film and wellness. To many people's surprise, Cate didn't cancel. She showed up at the dinner with her head held high, and the night was going well until Blake jumped in and ruined it for her. According to one insider, Blake was sitting at another table with a senior Chanel creative during the dinner, and Blake was overheard saying, "I just feel like I could bring something fresh to it like that. Script was beautiful, but a little outdated, right?" The creative allegedly laughed and said, "You mean Andrew's script? I didn't know it was her husband's until later. But I mean, legacy doesn't sell to Gen Z." The insider added that Cate overheard the entire discussion as she was sitting just a few feet away, and although she didn't confront them or anything like that, she looked sad for the rest of the night. But it gets weirder. Fast forward to April 2023. and the first rollout for Blake's Chanel and Netflix crossover campaign launched. But get this, apparently Chanel's PR team hadn't cleared a feature piece in a British fashion magazine that had been approved when Cate was still the face of the campaign. The piece even made reference to Andrew Upton's short film and Cate's personal creative involvement in the project. Well, the article was accidentally published on April 16th. With all that information still in there, the article stayed live for only 3 hours, but it was enough time for screenshots to start making the rounds on social media. It didn't take long for people to start bashing Blake, accusing her of stealing Cate's legacy and bullying her to keep it under wraps. Cate didn't directly address this messy situation at any point, but she later fired shots at Blake during an acceptance speech for a low-profile humanitarian award in Berlin. An insider who was at the venue at the time recorded Cate's speech, and although the clip has now been taken down, Cate dropped this iconic quote. "There's a difference between honoring a story and owning it. Like it was always yours. One builds legacy, the other builds ego." The backlash for Blake kept getting worse, and her team didn't make it any better. By now we all know how defensive Blake's PR team gets when she's facing the heat. And boy, was she facing the heat, her team probably underestimated just how loyal Cate Blanchett's fans were to her. By this point, Blake's campaign had started to fall apart. A scheduled press appearance on a YouTube fashion talk show was canceled last minute. The official explanation was that there were scheduling conflicts, but insiders suggested otherwise. One of the crew members leaked behind-the-scenes footage of the host rehearsing the intro, and it sounded like they were going to ask Blake about the whole drama with Cate Blanchett and what really happened to Cate's version of the campaign that would have made a terrible situation even more disastrous. So they dodged a cannonball by canceling that interview. But see, outside of the interview, things were already in motion, painting Blake as the villain in all this, and it didn't take long for her carefully built house of cards to start toppling down. Meanwhile, Cate didn't just sulk into a corner waiting for the new famous actress who stole her spot to meet her inevitable fall. She didn't plan any elaborate revenge plots or anything like that. Cate simply moved on to the next thing on her schedule, like she was completely unaffected by Blake's antics.
About much. And the more I do in a way, I think the less I know. And I've had a very eclectic and strange career that has taken me many places. But perhaps if there's any connective tissue in my career, it's the desire to know. It's the quest to unlock what it means to be human, that strange nub of fearful, joyful uncertainty that it is to be a human being. And to live a creative life, it's fueled with uncertainty and doubt. It's the DNA of how you begin any project. You have to humble yourself and say, I don't know, and I'm here to find out.
In June 2023, Cate and her husband Andrew premiered an original two-person play at the Sydney Theatre Company. The play was written entirely by Andrew and directed by Cate, but it wasn't some big splashy affair. They weren't looking to quote-unquote make a comeback after Chanel's betrayal. In fact, there was no PR leading up to the film's release. Plus, the only people who attended the premiere were a bunch of film nerds and people who genuinely love theater. But get this, apparently the film's original title was supposed to be lines that weren't meant to be read, but it was later changed to the credit, which a lot of people felt was a subtle shade, and Blake Lively for failing to give Cate credit despite stealing her work.
Well, I always approach every role as a woman because I am. I don't really think about that. I do think there's a distinct lack of shame in society at the moment. I think shame is very different to guilt. Guilt is a very useless emotion. I don't know what you do with that. But shame and regret and the lessons one can learn from that are, I think, are very powerful.
Cate handled the Blake and Chanel situation with the type of grace that many other actresses either don't have or can't afford. It's crazy because a lot of people felt like Blake had crossed the line by trying to bully and silence Cate. But what most people didn't realize at the time was that Cate wasn't the first or the only actor Blake had treated this way. In fact, Blake has a long history of allegedly bullying her co-stars and other crew members and trying to steal the spotlight from them when it was their turn to shine. She would also allegedly make her co-stars uncomfortable with her really bad jokes. And when they didn't find it funny she would accuse them of being mean or uptight. A recent interview clip has been floating around on the internet where Blake did exactly this with Leighton. Meester Leighton and Blake played best friends in Gossip Girl, but their on-screen chemistry was the complete opposite of their real-life relationship in the interview that's been making the rounds. Blake made a joke about Leighton being born in prison, and even compared her other co-stars to monkeys in a cage.
There was an article recently saying that Leighton and I were frenemies, and it's
frenemies. Is that the new term, frenemies?
Yeah, we're friends, but we're also enemies. And it's really strange because they always want to pit women against each other. You don't hear about like Penn and Chase hating each other and being jealous and competitive.
2 seconds later.
I think I'm just brunette because of the books.
And everyone knows blondes are nicer anyway. A moment by me.
Remember Savannah.
It was another promise was no pet monkey. Chuck has a matching pet monkey with coordinating outfits, and I was like, I would love to be part of the show, but I can't act with a monkey. And then I got a few of them. Come on, it was a joke. Lord have mercy.
Your wardrobe? That is important. Very good.
Very important.
This is wardrobe.
This is wardrobe. This was on the return rack. I think it was hers. So I had to go and like slip them cash to wear it today.
It was a terrible, almost mean joke, and you could tell by their body language that the co-stars did not like her comments at all. But as usual, they just chalked it up to Blake being good old Blake and moved past it. But it would turn out that Blake had allegedly been picking on Leighton throughout the period they worked on Gossip Girl. In 2017, the show's executive producer, Joshua Saffron, spilled the tea about how Blake and Leighton didn't get along on set. Joshua tried to play it off as both women having different personalities, but after that interview clip went viral, fans just couldn't believe that Blake is just a funny and quirky little girl anymore. Another co-star. Armie Hammer once revealed that Blake acted like a diva on set. Everything had to be done exactly as she wanted, and she would throw a tantrum over every little inconvenience during an interview with Andy Cohen. Armie finally opened up about how horrible working with Blake was, and the real reason why he left Gossip Girl. Armie tried to keep it cool, but you could tell that his experience working with Blake Lively left him traumatized for life.
Hi, my question for Armie. On Gossip Girl, who was the biggest diva on set?
Biggest diva on set of Gossip Girl.
You can say it because it's so far away from where you are now. That show's over. I suggest that you do not pass on another question.
Thank you, Chelsea.
I wish I could take all of my passes back and use them all right now. Yeah. Let me just say, that was a tough show to film, and I didn't end up actually filming all of the episodes I was supposed to because it was such a tough film.
Really? Literally, you said, get me out of this.
It was also like, get him out of here. Yeah,
really?
Yeah.
So it just literally was that. Whose love interest were you?
I was Blake Lively's love interest.
You were?
Yeah.
Okay, well then.
Sounds like she was the problem.
It sure does, Chelsea.
No, that's not what I'm saying.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
Don't put words into his mouth.
Yes. Because my foot is already there.
No, it is not.
No, yeah, continue. Sorry, it's your show.
No, please, you continue. I'm interested in what you... No, I like it.
I need another drink.
Hey, Katie.
Hey, y'all are cracking me up.
And don't get me started on the rumors that have been floating around, that when Blake doesn't like a particular actor, she makes sure everyone else has a problem with that person as well. Ever wonder why Penn Badgley had such a hard time fitting into the Gossip Girl set? Allegedly, Blake had told the directors and other cast members from day one that Penn was a difficult guy to work with, and that they shouldn't be cool with him. It would take weeks for Penn to finally break the ice, but when other cast members warmed up to him, they realized he was nothing like Blake had described him as. So when Justin Baldoni came forward with his story of Blake trying to kick him out of the director's chair, a lot of people were shocked but not surprised. According to reports, Blake didn't just try to steal the spotlight from Justin. She would allegedly rewrite scenes from the script without his permission, and when he refused to use her version of the script, she would threaten him with her dragons, her bestie, Taylor Swift, and her husband, Ryan Reynolds.
We do have It Starts With Us, so I'm hoping to see you back in the double duty role.
I think there are better people for that one.
Justin.
I think Blake Lively's ready to direct. That's what I think. So, yeah.
Justin said he doesn't know if he'd be game to direct the next one, but perhaps Blake would. Is that something that you would entertain?
Oh, absolutely. I think that whoever decides to take charge of the next one would do it justice. But,
It's a lot of people to get the same schedules together again, so we'll see.
Oh, absolutely. She's so capable of that. She is a powerhouse. She can do literally anything.
But that's not all, allegedly. Blake went behind Justin's back to lobby Colleen Hoover for the right to direct the next part of the movie. Mind you, this was before any of the lawsuits were even filed. Justin's contract gives him the right to direct and produce every part of the film, but the contract has one little caveat. If Justin is found in the middle of any morally damaging scandal like an SA case, he will be stripped of his title and will never get to work on the movie again. So the fact that Blake was already allegedly trying to convince Colleen to make her the director of the next film is really, really shady once you put two and two together. As for Cate Blanchett, she stood her ground and refused to allow herself to be pushed to the sideline, especially coming from someone like Blake. But do you think Cate should have handled the whole thing differently? Do you think this might just be the end of Blake's career running closer and closer? Let us know in the comments and stick around for this next juicy story.